spin on this because we're going to reverse it.
Okay.
And we're going to get your perspective on women this time. And of course, it's going to be about R. Kelly, and not just about R. Kelly. I want to touch on the entertainment industry, sexual predators in the entertainment industry, and how that is affecting what's going on in the entertainment industry. So of course we know R. Kelly, the whole R. Kelly thing blew up in 2000, where we saw the sex tape with him with 14-year-old.
Yes.
And I remember when that came out, and it was discussed everywhere. I personally did not want to see the tape. Did any of you see the tape?
Yeah, so I did.
You saw the tape and you saw the
Yeah,
tape.
I did.
I didn't want to see the tape because, again, I'm a singer in the entertainment industry. And at the time, I was doing a lot of singing here in New York, and I was in Queens College. I was trying to decide if I wanted to continue singing because of the things that I had faced, which was your being accosted by producers, promoters, and they want to take you to bed. I was doing a lot of classical music. And let me just jump back. I had lost a whole lot of weight. You remember, Joe? I had lost a whole lot of weight. So I went from like a size 16 to a size 2. And all of a sudden, you know, you're the right weight to be in the industry. I always had the voice. Now you're the right weight. Then all of a sudden, people want to take you out on a date. Not because you're talented, because you already knew that. I was accepted into Juilliard, but I couldn't afford it. I was accepted into Queens College, and I was going to school for voice. I was trained by Donald Byrd. I went under Jimmy Heath into jazz bands, and so I knew I had a voice. I knew I had a talent. I remember going to a club with my manager and meeting with a promoter, and he brought over a bottle of champagne, and this was my defining moment. He didn't ask me, did I drink champagne? And my manager said, don't touch the bottle because it came open. I would have drank it anyway because, one, I don't drink champagne. And at that moment, he said to me, there's probably something in the bottle. Do not drink it. Because they kept trying to get him to walk away from me. And, you know, we left the club and he said, this is what's going to happen if you start going on auditions or if you start doing these things by yourself. They're going to come after you to want to sleep with you and promising you these dreams. And I sat there thinking, this is not what I want in my life. You know, my mother made me go to school for education. I have more than just my voice. I have a brain. And I began thinking that I have to finish my education. I have to be able to make more than just a voice. However, I do have friends who decided that's all they wanted to do. That, you know, they talk about the A game, and when you do your A game, you don't have a B game. I've never fell into that crap, and I will tell people now, it is okay to have an A, B, and a C game and work all three, because God gives you more than one talent, and you can work all three of them. And so I decided right then and there I was going to finish my education. I was still going to sing. I was going to do whatever my heart told me to. I was not going to let anyone have control of my body. I do have friends who did. They're still waiting tables at their age now. They still haven't made it. They still are trying to go to the auditions with the 20-year-olds now at this age. R. Kelly hits. We see all of these things happen, and all I could think about was, that could have been me. What do you guys think?
Well, I'm not as familiar with the entertainment industry and what really goes on. All I know, R. Kelly is one of my favorite artists. I have to say that. I love the music, but I was very, very disappointed and very disgusted with what I heard and saw with surviving R. Kelly. I didn't.
So did you believe the first time it hit that was him in the tape? The
Yeah,
2000?
I did. I did.
But
and I
how
was
did you feel
disappointed
then?
I was disappointed then because I said, oh, come on. You could have any other person. You could have, I would think, anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you was at the top of your game. Why this little girl?
Did you continue to listen to his music?
I did. I ain't gonna lie. I sure did. Because I like the music. Now, him as a person, I can do without. I'll say that on camera. I can do without R. Kelly as a person. But the music I do like. Am I a hardcore fan? No, I'm not a hardcore fan, but I like the music. But surviving R. Kelly was an eye-opener. It really and truly was an eye-opener. I did not expect to see and hear the depth of the abuse or the the ridicule or the shame that he subjected these young women to. I mean, call me daddy and all this other nonsense was. I didn't think that he would do something like that. But then I'm not 100% surprised because it seems to be part and parcel of the type of person that he is. So I really feel that women really need to be, and I hate to say this, I really do, because it makes it seem like they're not as strong, but I think you need to be even stronger. And you have to be more, I don't even know what the word is that I'm looking
Discerning?
for. But you have to be. You can't allow disrespect, in a sense. You can't allow disrespect, because disrespect is going to continue to happen. It's just like the conversation that you would have with a domestic violence situation. And that's a whole other psychosis. But it always surprised me, if you're in this particular relationship, you can't find a way out. And it's the same, I parallel it to the entertainment industry with the women who were supposedly trapped and they couldn't get out.
Well, I have to differ on this because I find two different roads here. For R. Kelly, these were young girls.
Well, of course,
and so there's a now there were two women, there were two grown women that I was kind of like, in my head, I'm like, you know better. But the girls, and a lot of the girls were girls who were foster girls or who were just girls who, and at that age, I had to think about what I was doing. And I was a little fast girl who didn't listen to my mother and who made it, really did make it a game to see how much I could get away without my parents knowing. So anybody at that age could have fell into that. Any woman, any girl.
Girls were teenagers.
That are impressionable.
That became adults.
Exactly, and so they were already in that. So there were only 2 or 3 women. And those women, I didn't quite, have the same emotion that I did for those girls.
Right. I mean, that's understandable.
And those women were after all of these things happened, and then they said, "Well, I loved R. Kelly."
Yes, and some of them admitted that they saw.
And they saw these girls
in the video.
Okay.
There were some girls that some of the grown women that said, "Oh, that's the girl that was in the video that I saw 10 years ago."
Exactly. So those women I had less of emotions for, but the little girls, I was so angry and so upset, and I was angry and I wanted to kill him. And I was angry that, that with the parents, but yet I also understood because at that age I was a little fast myself, trying to figure out how I could get things past my parents. I listened to R. Kelly, but I was never a person to buy his music because, of course, my mom had certain music that she would only play in the house. So I didn't have a lot of his music. My cousins had them, but I was never one to go to his. I've never even been to his concert. But what really got me angry is that it took to 2019 for something to finally happen So this is almost 20 years since that tape hit. So he's actually gotten away with it longer than that because he had been doing this since he had the group where he was canvassing the high schools. Because a lot of old men canvass high schools, because I remember when I was a teenager how they would canvass the high schools. Some of them were bus drivers when we used to take the bus to school. They were the bus drivers.
Remember what his teacher said. His teacher.
And the teacher said that he was like that, and she had told him, I don't like that, when he used to write music for school. So these things were there, okay? And yes, you know, he talks about, his brother talked about how he was abused and all of these things, and they were both abused. But guess what? A lot of abusers don't abuse.
Exactly.
So again, I'm sorry. There's something wrong when the industry and the people around you condone it and allow it. And why aren't the rest of these people prosecuted?
Well, here's the thing.
It's not just him. It's every single person who allowed this to happen should be right up there in jail with them.
Definitely.
For aiding and abetting.
But you know what? Here's the thing for me. I have to. Now, first of all, let me just say this. I did see the video. I didn't go out and buy the video. I didn't go out and buy the video. I saw it. I had a friend that had a party to watch the video because it was
so controversial.
It was like talk about this video, and you know, I remember because I lived in Newark, New Jersey at the time, and I remember you could get this video everywhere. There were posters, the R. Kelly sex video. So you know, got the video, went to this party, and you know, we saw the video, and my conscious mind didn't really think that it was possible this girl was 13 years old, because I looked at the video, and honestly, to me, she didn't look like she was 13 years old. So, and I will say this, I went out, and when this allegation came out, because the allegation came out shortly after the video had started being sold. I don't know if you remember this, but there was a press conference that said, if you own this tape, you own pornography, you need to throw it away, get rid of it, do whatever you got to do to get rid of it, turn it into a police station, what have you. So, you know, when it became that, I was like, wow. But at the same time, R. Kelly did an interview at that time. And so it was like he reeled everybody back in and convinced them, no, this is not true, so on and so forth. And like I said, I had saw the video. To me, the young lady didn't look like she was 13 years old. But she looked like she was a consenting adult at least. She looked like she was about 18 years old.
Physically she was a young girl.
To me, she didn't look like a young girl. And so, you know, I went out and bought Chocolate Factory. I bought the album, and I was just having this conversation with Joseph recently. I said I went out and bought the album and listened to the album both. You know, that was a double CD. I listened to it and wore it out. I wore it out.
I did too.
But when I saw this documentary, there was this one picture. I don't know if you remember this from the documentary. There was this one picture of him standing next to this 13-year-old girl.
And that was the girl.
And that was the young lady.
And he cried.
And I burst into tears because I said, that's my niece. Those are my nieces. I have 13-year-old nieces. And I was so disgusted that I almost threw up. I was so disgusted that I cried. I was so disgusted, like you said, I wanted to kill him. I wanted to kill him, and then my conscious mind said,
but the other part that was disappointing for me is that it didn't seem as if he cared.
I don't
exactly.
Again,
but then
there
my
was no
conscious mind
remorse.
said to me, my conscious mind said to me,
regret, almost, besides denial.
Right, but my conscious mind said to me, you have a decision to make, because I was an R. Kelly fan. I wasn't that fan to go to concerts and so on, but I bought his album.
That far.
I did, and my conscience said to me, Shamar, you have to make a decision. Do you continue to listen to the music, but condemn the artist? And my conscious mind says you can't do both. You can't sit in the room with Jesus and you got the devil on the other side. You got to pick one.
I hear you.
You know what I'm saying? And so my conscious mind said, you have a decision to make. And I made the decision that I can't. Because in the documentary, it was said that every song, just about every single
about
song
one of those girls.
was about one of those
In the
girls.
beginning, the
They
beginning
still
albums. A lot
All of
them-
those songs.
I don't know.
You Were Not
All of
Alone.
those
I don't
songs.
see
You
Love
Were
Letters
Not
being like that.
Alone,
That
which
was one
was a
album.
song that
You Were
Michael
Not Alone was
Jackson-
about how he was watching those girls because
It was
they were
about
controlling
an abortion.
him.
It was about
Yeah.
the girl that had the abortion.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
about the girl that had an abortion.
Mhm.
But majority of the songs, he admitted this. He admitted
Mhm.
this.
Mhm.
He said that the girl said the majority of the songs were about girls that he had been with. And I said, wow,
Mhm.
how can I?
Mhm.
How can I
And
listen
they're
to
singing
this
this
music?
song in church. You Are Not Alone.
And yeah,
I
how
Believe I Can
listen-
Fly.
Exactly.
Mhm.
How can I listen to this music and still?
So what do you
But I
tell?
also
What do
think-
you?
but
You all have nieces.
But that's
All
the
young
conversation
nieces.
that I told.
What do you have?
That's what I
do
told
you
my
do
sister.
with your as men?
Because my niece is turning 13.
13. You have
in
a
2 weeks.
well,
2
niece-in-law and a niece, right?
Yeah.
You have a niece that's turning
I
13
have
as
a
well.
great niece.
His niece
that's
is
Right.
13. No, she's gonna
You
be
have a
12,
ton of
and mine's
nieces.
gonna be 13.
Cousins,
Mhm.
young. What do you tell them? What
my
do you
thing is that
tell
I told my sister, because she went ballistic when she saw it, because in her mind it was just my niece. That she's gonna be 13 in 3 weeks.
Mhm.
So in her mind, that was her niece, and I told her, I said, the conversation you need to have, because every single one of them, down to the grown women, said, who am I to tell him no? I said, and that's what you need to teach these girls, that you don't have to give up your body just because of who somebody is.
Okay.
Just because he can, I'm talking about the ones that, like the girls that just said, not that he promised them anything. He didn't promise them to be famous because they weren't trying. She said, who was I to tell him no? Who was I to tell R. Kelly no? He used who he was to get what he wanted because
Right.
she felt she didn't have the power to tell him no. And my thing is, you have to teach girls you can say
You talking
no.
about the parent or the child?
The child. It
Right.
was the girl
Right.
that I want to say that caught the venereal disease. She
Mhm.
said he told her to come in, take off her clothes, and she was like, "Well, who am I to tell her no?"
Right. It's the
You have the other
vulnerability.
girl that sat in the court case, heard everything he did, said, "Oh, he couldn't be doing it, but now he's doing it with you."
Right.
And your response, her response
Mhm.
also was, "Who am I to tell him no?"
Right.
And I think a lot
They
of
were
people
devalued.
feel obligated to do this, and it's not just happening to girls; it's happening to boys too.
Right.
Because in the gay community, it's the same
It's
thing.
the same.
They go into the ballroom,
intimidation.
they see all these ball figures, and oh well, you know, you can have the fame I have too if you do this,
Right.
or you don't have a place to stay, well, you can come home with me if you do that.
Mhm.
And I think it's the manipulation. You as an adult have a responsibility not to manipulate people in a certain way just to get what you want. I had, now he's graduated out of college, but he was about 15. And he just gravitated towards me, and one day he called me, he was like, "I'm in love with you." I'm like, "No, you're not." He's like, "No, I am, I'm really in love with you, and I wanna be with you." I was like, "First of all, you're 17. Second of all, that's not gonna happen." And he was like, "No, I'm in love with you." I said, "No, you're not in love with me. What you are in love with is the fact that a man is giving you attention. I'm giving you the attention that you want because you're not getting it from anybody else. And because we share this one thing the same as being gay, you think you love me like that. You don't love me like that. So whatever you want in your mind to happen is not going to happen." I had every opportunity at that point to take advantage of him. But as an adult, I know you're not in love with me. You're in love with the fact that you can talk to me. You're in love with the fact that whenever you call me, I pick up the phone. You're in love with me because I'm really a father to you that you don't have.
And that's the thing I think is missing with these girls.
Right.
The
The father
relationship
figure
with the
that they
father and that
need.
conversation that
Yes.
needed to be happened.
Mhm.
With my nieces and the one in the, you know, I can't be as clairvoyant as I would like to be, but I think the relationship that I have with them and trying to be that male model makes a big difference.
Yeah.
And I try to present myself a certain way at all times.
Right.
Regardless
I get you.
of what the
I get
circumstances
exactly
are.
what you're saying.
And the father figure may not be there. That's
That's
a whole
irrelevant
other
right
situation.
now. Right.
But
Mhm.
the men in my niece's life need to step up.
Right.
And that's what some of us have done,
Right.
my brothers included.
Right.
So when these young girls see positive men or have relationships with positive men in the family, I think that would curb some of that
Right.
desire to want to go out and have another ill relationship with somebody else that's you know, that's not good
Right,
in a
right.
sense. So for me, it really has to do with the relationship that you have with the
Yes.
girls at home.
And family, yeah.
The you know, the guys in the family. My take on the older these young girls is like there was no father figure around, or there was no male around to say this, that, and the other as to where you going, when you coming back, or why are you doing this,
Right.
or questioning, or
Right.
getting
And the
involved in
fathers
their
that
life.
were around just allowed it. That's like this 13-year-old girl that allowed him to get away. Her father played bass.
Played bass. So he sold, to me, he sold his daughter.
Yes, yes.
That's the one that was in the video.
Exactly, yes.
Because that's Sparkle's
Sparkle's
brother.
yes, yes.
But yet they blamed Sparkle.
Exactly.
Or yeah.
And I pointed out that he was in the band.
And you know
And
what?
she went to him and said, get your child.
Exactly.
Mhm.
You know,
Get
and
your
we
child.
just had this conversation on
I
the way
blame
here.
him.
You know, everybody was like, when this documentary came out, oh, Sparkle need her ass beat and so on and
No.
so forth.
A lot of people was against
you
her for
know,
some
He was
and
in
I tell
band.
you, go back and look at the documentary
Mhm.
because she said initially, I come from a family where we didn't have no staying the night at nobody's house.
Exactly.
We didn't. My
Exactly.
parents didn't leave me with nobody. My parents didn't trust me around other boys, and so that was her thinking.
Right.
Whenever she said to her niece, "What are you doing,
What are you
here
doing
by
here?"
yourself?"
Right.
Okay, and everybody wanted to jump on her and say, "Oh, well, you left your niece with him." No,
No.
she immediately got on the phone and called her brother and said, "What is she doing here by herself?"
But I also agree
You know.
with what Dee said, because a lot of girls nowadays don't have a standard. Some of them have their fathers home,
That's true too.
and their fathers ain't doing nothing with them. Their fathers are just
Mhm.
making sure they can eat and
Right.
do what they do.
Right.
Right.
Their mothers, or they see a relationship with their mothers and fathers that ain't right.
That's
Like they're not right.
Absolutely.
And like I agree with you. Like I took my niece out twice. I took her out. I said we're going on. I'm taking you on a date. And of course she laughed. Uncle Jojo, you can't take me on a date. I said why not? I'm gonna take you out and I'm gonna show you that if a boy doesn't do everything that I'm doing, you don't need to be bothered. with
That's
him.
the thing.
And I took her, I pulled out her chair, I pushed her in, and she's laughing the whole time. I said, you can laugh. But if
But you're
a
gonna
boy wants
remember
to
this.
date you, this is what he needs to
You're
do.
gonna remember
If he
this,
doesn't
yeah.
do this, he's no good.
That's good.
We sat there when the waitress
So not
came,
only
she
are you
looked
telling
at
her,
me.
you showing her.
Right, and everything. The waitress looked at me and said, "Oh, sir, what do you want?" I said, "No, ask her first." So she looked at me. I said, "Give me your order. This is what you're supposed to do. This is what you have to do. This is the way it's supposed to be done."
Right.
So when I took her out the second time, she expected it. She
Right.
already.
Right.
It wasn't as funny as it
Right.
was the second time because it was
Right.
months later, and my sister was going out, and I said, "Okay, I'm gonna take her out and let her get her favorite food." So when we went out, I said, "Go in." She went in the booth. When the waiter came, I looked at her. She told the waiter it was. Now she
It's a
knew
natural. Yeah.
what was gonna happen.
What to be expected.
So if you don't teach girls what should be, even if the father's not around or they don't have an uncle, you as a woman should teach her how it's gonna be. Women don't realize, and we had this conversation too, as much as all of us say we're not gonna be like our parents, in some way, form, or
Yes.
fashion, we are just like our parents.
Mhm.
And me and my sister grew up in the same household. But if you ever come in contact with us, my sister is more like my grandmother, and I'm more like my mother. What made us gel to one or the other, you just don't know. What made her feel she was be more like my grandmother, more loving and forgiving, and me like my mother, more vocal and say what I feel? You never know. So you never know how your kids are gonna mimic you, the good
Right.
and the bad. And a lot of girls see their moms come on, oh, this Uncle James, oh, this Uncle John, oh, this Uncle
Right.
so-and-so. Or they don't have that love. They don't have that love from their father. They don't have it even from their mother. So the first person that shows them love, oh, he liked me, so I'm gonna give it to him. and then you in the cycle. You back in the cycle
Right.
of
Right.
just doing what your mother's doing because that's what you saw her do. She may not have verbally said it, but your mother was doing the same thing that
Right.
you're doing.
She was showing
So
you.
that comes back down to what you said about
Right.
mental illness. Because if the mom is mental, you're gonna be mental because you're gonna pick up what you see her do.
And you
Right.
think
My
it's
mother
right.
knew I was out and about with a whole bunch of men. And the first words out of her mouth was, "You ain't never seen me hoeing, so why you hoeing?"
But you know what I agree with you about needing to have stronger male figures
Male figures,
step up
absolutely.
in our families,
Absolutely.
like Joseph. Joseph, that's the
Right.
only niece he has.
Right.
You know, I have a host of them. My son
Right.
Got a whole bunch.
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of nieces and nephews, but you know, it's like if you're one of those uncles that are just strong-willed, your nieces, they know.
They know.
Uncle
Yes,
D
they
don't play.
do.
Uncle D don't play.
Yes.
Uncle Tremel don't play. My nieces, they know I don't play.
Mhm.
You know, I've seen children talk to their parents and be disrespectful to them and so on and so forth.
That doesn't happen with his
and-
niece.
and that doesn't happen. You
That
know,
doesn't happen
that's
with your
what I
niece.
say. That's what I say. I say that don't happen with me because my nieces know I will beat them.
Right.
You understand what I'm
That's
saying? And I'm just literally saying that.
No, I
But
understand.
if I have to, you know,
Right.
but that's how I was raised. That's where I come from. And so yes, we need stronger. We need the male figures in our daughters, our nieces, just whatever.
Men themselves
To
don't even
step
realize how
up.
important their
How
role is.
very, very
Yes,
important.
to
How
step
very
up and
important their
stop
role
being
is.
Yes.
so selfish and step up when you see that something ain't right.
Right.
Something you ain't got no business being with that. You ain't got no business talking to that 18-year-old. You 13 years old.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And you know, when
Exactly.
somebody made a point, speaking of that, somebody made a good point. There was a young lady, and she got jumped on so bad on social media. She made a good point. She said, this has been happening for years.
Mm-hmm.
In the hood.
That's true.
If you know anything
Yes.
about the hood,
That's true.
you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Older dudes have always
Always.
hit on,
Always.
hit on,
Always.
or
Yeah.
preyed on young girls.
Yes.
Oh, you got a nice body, ma.
Always.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And so this is something that has been happening for years.
Mhm.
But the one thing I wanted to say, and I won't say anything else about this R. Kelly thing, is we, and I'm talking to all black people that are R. Kelly fans, we have to take responsibility
And hold them
for what
accountable.
we have done as fans, because we ignored him. We ignored
That's
the
true.
Aaliyah.
We allowed it to
all
happen.
these things that have happened in the past 25 years. We ignored it, and we continue to support him. We continue to
And it
buy
was
his
like a
music.
massive
And by us
approval.
doing that, we
Yeah.
funded
Mm-hmm.
all the people that he made hush up.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's brought him to this point that he's at right
Technically, you're
now.
absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I
brought him
have
to
to
this
agree.
point right
I
now,
have
and
to
now
agree.
he's sitting in jail. And so that's why that's what I mean when I say I had to make a conscious decision and say, Tremel, you have to make a decision. Do you condemn the artist and continue to listen to his music, or do you just take it and throw it all away? And I made the decision to take it all and throw it all away.
But the other thing I need black people to really stop doing, what the issue with Jesse and R. Kelly is, look at what people are trying to do to them. People ain't trying to do nothing to them. They doing it to themselves.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
They did it to themselves. Didn't nobody? People did bring him the girls,
Right.
but nobody forced him to sleep with these girls.
Exactly.
Nobody
It's
told
R.
Jesse
Kelly.
to go
It is
tell a lie.
R. Kelly.
You black people tend to do this. It's always what we do versus what they do. We already know they are never gonna get the repercussions that we get.
Exactly.
So stop comparing the two. Stop saying, well, white people call the cops on black people all the time. Okay, but guess what? We all know they have white privilege. We don't. Oh, look at what they doing to R. Kelly. They trying to destroy him. Nobody's trying to do nothing to R.
He
Kelly.
did it to himself.
R. Kelly
A
did it to
crime is
himself.
a crime.
He did it
is
to
a
himself.
crime. And a crime is
I
a
think
crime.
I think what you're trying to say is we got to police ourselves.
We do.
We have to police ourselves.
We do.
And we've got to hold ourselves to a
We
better
do.
standard.
Yeah, a crime is a crime. It doesn't matter. If I'm white and I kill you, it's a crime.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm white and I kill you, it's a crime. If I'm black and I kill you, it's a crime.
All right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We can't, we have to stop this, and we have to start having these conversations.
Absolutely.
We have
And
to.
this is why I have you all here. So we're gonna do some. My cousins got their father to take a DNA test, and we found out some things. Well, one was that there's a Confederate soldier in my family background, but we won't go into that one. 23andMe and Ancestry.com. Has anybody done those yet?
No.
I
No?
want to do.
You want to do it? You want to? No, you do? You don't? You don't? Well,
I
we
don't
know,
know if
you and I know pretty much our Caribbean side.
The lineage, yeah.
Yes, the lineage. Do you know for your father's side?
Not as much.
And I am learning my father's side, but my biological father's side.
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid to do it. I'm afraid.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's interesting in that, and I'll tell you this, I was a little shocked and perturbed that 52% was European. I said, shut the front door. And but when you broke it down, and I had a historian look at it and talk about it, he was supposed to be here tonight, but part of the percentages are, there are trace percentages that they could not relate to. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then there are some from the Iberian Peninsula and some from Italy. And what that would mean is that it's quite possible, they call them the Moors, they're the Berbers,
Yes, that's what I'm studying.
which actually tilted back into African,
Right.
because it was 50, 52, and 48 African.
Mhm.
So when he was telling me that, and then of course I do know that in my biological father's side, and I say biological because as Dee knows, I grew up with my stepfather who is white. And basically he was the one who raised me, and I didn't know my father, he passed away. So I do know that there is a census that shows at some point my African great grandmother had children with an Apache Indian. So it did not show up as Apache Indian because it shows trace. And how he explained that to me, and I said, but it does show that, I have Apache in us. And it's documented, it shows it in the census, it shows everything. He goes, those traces are your Indian heritage. But because a lot of the Indian tribes have died out, there's really nothing to show it. But you have to also remember where they came from, which were the Berbers, because they were traveling people.
Right.
So when he explained all of this, I thought that was really interesting. And at first, I really did want to take the 23andMe because I wanted to find out more about the Caribbean side, and just to figure out how we traveled over, even though we know we all traveled on the same ship. It's just where we all got thrown off or sold. But then it came up that the FBI was buying the DNA results. And then when I saw that put a break to everything. So let's take the FBI out of the equation, and let's think about what those implications mean for Americans. Let's take away whether you're black and you're white, or Hispanic or whatever. If you grew up here and you have lineage here, and you took away all of that, what does that mean for Americans? And what does that say to the president that is now in office?
Right. Well, I have to say this. As an American, I've always thought of myself as being an American. Period. Point blank. I don't look at color when it comes to me being a citizen of this country. But I will tell you this. I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos on, people acting out of control, in the streets, and especially I see a lot of videos where white people get upset when they see Mexican people speaking English, or I mean speaking Spanish, or they see somebody speaking a different language other than English, and they want to argue. Don't speak that language. Speak English. We need English in this country. And my thing is like, you don't even understand. None of us are of this country.
I am.
But what I'm saying, when it comes to our lineage, most of us, we don't even know we're of this country, and that's not what this country was built on. Growing up, going to school, we were always taught that this was the great American melting pot. That people of all races, all colors,
and that's a perspective, because a melting pot is very different from a salad bowl.
Exactly.
Right.
But we were taught in school that people of all races, all colors were welcomed here, and came here and built this country, which we know ain't true. This country mostly was built on the backs of black people. Let's just get that out there. But it's just so. It's crazy when I hear our president talking about we need to build a wall, and we need to keep the Mexicans out, or when we talk about race, period, as if he is a purebred of this country. We all, our lineage, most of us, for the most part, and please excuse me, I don't know what your lineage is, but if you are of this country, from what I've always been told, if you're Indian, whatever Indian you are of this country. You are native of this country. And so,
but even with that, people are just part Indian.
Right,
the only people that would be here if they made everybody right now, take a 23andMe test. Half of us would be shipped off someplace we don't even know where the hell we at. Because unless you are 100% pure American Indian, that's the only reason why you would stay.
Exactly.
Because you were indigenous to the land. But past that, all the rest of us, everybody black was born here for a reason.
Right.
We mixed with something because somebody got to our grandmother's grandmother. So that's the only reason why we're here to begin with. But then again, I was watching something on YouTube that said we were here with the Indians.
Well, the Indians, they believe, are actually Berbers, which are Africans.
Right.
So they came over. Well, if you really wanted to go back, there are historians that say Pangaea. Am I saying that right? Where all the continents were one, and as they broke apart because of the volcanoes, that's if you want to believe it that way.
You're right, exactly. Well, so, I studied that as well, and it's like for me.
Am I saying that right? The right word?
Pangaea? It sounds familiar.
Yes.
Yeah, but like it's for me, it's like how dare we even consider ourselves, that much a part of this country when we know as well, when black, white, indifferent, whatever, that, like he said, we came from something that came from something that came from something that came
Absolutely.
from something.
The only thing I can say that I know for a fact is that I pay rent on the place I
That's
turn the
it.
key in, and that's the only thing I can say. The nation of Dahlia is right here when I walk in that door, where my dog is waiting for her plate of food.
Right. I couldn't imagine imagine being born any other place.
Right.
But at the same time, I just don't think that I have a right to look at this person and shun this person that was born in this country, just like I was, and say that they're not.
They don't belong.
Or they're lesser than me because of their nationality. We all come from different cultural backgrounds, and that's what makes us so unique. That's what this country was built on.
Yeah.
At least that's what I
We're all immigrants, so to speak.
But I just find it so interesting that we have a president, and so sad that we have a president who you can actually document that his parents came in. He does not have a legacy that was here years and years and years and years.
Document his first 3 wives came
here. And his wife, parents, became citizens while he was in office. But your now asking to keep out
Right.
people who just want to make a better life.
That's
But he only wants to keep out certain people.
Only certain
He doesn't
people,
want to keep out
absolutely.
everybody. It's just
But certain
people.
people.
Which
Who
you're billing them to be terrorists and things like that. And I ain't never seen a Mexican go shoot up a whole school.
right.
I ain't never seen a Mexican walk in a club and shoot up a club. I ain't never seen a Mexican hold people hostage in a bank or hold people hostage in anything. I see them come here. They do jobs that none of us want to do. They make their little money and they do their thing. Y'all complain about the Mexicans, but when you want something fixed in your house, who you gonna go to Home Depot and pick up 6 o'clock in the morning and pay them less to nothing to put tiles down in your house? Cause the white people ain't standing out there. Black people sure ain't standing out there waiting for that, because if they do it, they're gonna want
We
$2,000
ain't
to
standing out
$3,000.
no more fields. We ain't
And
standing
I'm
out
not
no
being
more
racist.
fields.
I'm just saying this is what
This
they
is
do when they come
absolutely
here.
Right.
And if you've never gone out of the country, like I went to the Dominican Republic, and I stayed in resort and what have you. But then we took a bus and went into town. When I went into town, I was like, I got an appreciation for why they come, and people make fun of them, but I know why they do what they do
Right.
because of how they live there. So in that instant, it was like, wow, you see,
You understand why
you
people want to
understand
come
why
here
they
and have
wanna
an
come.
opportunity.
because if you never leave the resort, you just think it's a beautiful place.
Right.
But when you go into town,
Oh yeah.
and you
It's
see them
totally
living in the
different.
buildings with no doors and no windows, just the cutouts, and
Or
dead
tin
rats in the
house
middle of the
or-
street. It's like, now I know why you come here and do the things you do. Now I know
It's
why.
still a better life.
Right, it's,
It's
still a
still
better
a
life.
better life.
Yeah, but you know, then let's talk about this wall here. You want a wall?
First of all, the people who are bringing drugs are not walking over the border.
But even
and-
if they are, let me just say this. I'm sorry. Let me just say this. He want a wall. Now, if you've ever been out of the country, you know this, that most countries, most foreign countries, how do they protect their borders? They protect their borders with their military. So, you tell me, with all the jobs that are out here that are non-existent, that we need in this country, with a military that is one of the best militaries in the world, because we protect. We stand on
We
other
protect the
people's
world.
borders.
We protect other people.
We protect the
What's
world.
wrong? What's wrong with our military protecting our border?
Absolutely.
So why do we need a wall? Why do we need to spend $50 billion on a
31,
wall?
31.5 billion?
Yeah.
That's what he wanted?
Because
Am
I
I right?
guarantee
Right.
you,
When we
something
have,
in there run
billion.
gas and get shot.
yeah, when we
It's gonna make
have,
me think,
Yeah.
ooh, Paco got shot.
yeah,
You want to try next,
Yeah.
Tito? Because I ain't going.
yeah. I mean, I'm being
I'm
very
trying to
serious. I mean,
Yeah.
why can't our military protect our borders like other countries do?
Right.
Number one. Number two is,
But I think that's
why-
what the pushback was from Congress and everybody else. You know, Nancy Pelosi and those the people who
Now, I
don't
would feel
want
comfortable
to
giving-
support that wall
Right.
funding.
It-
Yeah,
a wall
but
is nothing,
I
does
would feel
absolutely
more
nothing.
comfortable paying our troops and our military $50 billion
But you know why he wants
to
the
protect
wall?
our borders.
Because he can say he finally did
No,
something
no.
in his presidency.
You gotta break it down. The reason why he wants the wall is because the materials that he wants to use belong to a millionaire.
Come on now.
The millionaire that has the materials that he wants to use is Russian.
Wow.
Right.
Guess who's gonna get all of America's 331 point whatever billion dollars to build the wall? The Russians.
Hello.
That's why he wants
Right.
a wall. That's why he's insisting upon this wall. Not because this wall is going to do something. And my thing is, if you want a wall, at least say you want a wall for real reasons. Don't come at me with Mexicans or terrorists and rapists and everything else. Because that's just bogus. If that's the case, then you need to build a wall in Utah. You need to build a wall in Seattle. You need to build a wall in Arizona where all the white men are. Where all the crazy ass white men are that's killing up everybody.
That's
Because
going
those
into
are the
churches and
terrorists.
blowing people up.
Those are the terrorists. Your white people are the terrorists. Because black people just shoot up the neighborhood to get pookie. I really don't see Mexicans shooting nobody up. I don't see.
This is the real Lecrae's,
I
guys.
don't see, but that's what I'm just saying. If you're gonna build a wall, you need to build a wall around these crazy ass white men because they're the ones killing everybody. You just got somebody with all this military stuff that was coming for all the Democrats, all the black people, all the Spanish people. But y'all ain't talking about that. Y'all talking about R. Kelly and Jussie. You should be talking about this man that you just seized all this stuff in his house.
Yes.
The Coast Guard. In the Coast Guard. On top of it. So you done trained him how to be a killer. He's the terrorist. That he ain't Mexican. That's what bothers me. That you trying to build Mexicans as terrorists. And I have yet to see a Mexican blow up something, do something.
Well, I mean, we have a couple of MS-13 gang problems.
Well,
issues
gangs,
and
yes,
stuff
we
like
do
that.
have gangs.
But who doesn't have gangs?
But who
White
doesn't
people
have
have
gangs?
the mafia.
They're called the mafia.
Right.
We
But I
have
just
the
wanted to make sure
Yakuza,
we
we
mentioned
have
that.
the triads, we have gangs
Right,
of every
exactly,
nationality.
exactly.
So
That's
Call
what,
someone a
you're not
terrorist.
saying anything we don't know.
Unless you're
Right.
talking about ISIS, because that's terroristic. But if you want to call
But that's a gang.
group, but
If
that's
you
what
think
I'm
about
saying.
it, that's a gang.
If you want to call a
You
group
know?
of people, we need to protect our country from them. No, if you say we want to protect jobs, you don't want to give them money, you don't want them to be coming here illegal and doing this. People might be
But
for
what
it.
was funny about it is that he had them employed in Trump towers and all the Trump hotels until
That's true.
someone
That's
called
true.
them out on it.
Right.
Then all of a sudden you're going to fire all of these immigrants, these undocumented immigrants, because
That's the
now
key-
somebody
that's the key
called you
word.
out on exactly what you were doing,
Mhm.
but standing up in office talking about it.
Mhm.
So sounds like
Yeah.
you're 2 years about up now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am a person who I don't like texting too much. I think it's something that should be short, simple, yes, no, here are the directions. I'll be there, I gotta cancel. What do you guys think about convert texting?
Well, first of all, my husband, he know how to text real good. I'm just not that. Listen, I used to be this technical person. I used to be this technical person. I used to be all the little gadgets and stuff. They used to call me Inspector Gadget at one time. But now that I just, there was a time when I just put the technology down, and I have an iPhone. I just got an iPhone. And I mean, I used to work for AT&T.
So I don't know what iPhones are.
I remember when I used to work at AT&T when the first iPhone came out. I had an opportunity to get one free, and I turned it down. But now I'm like, I'm not that dude.
I'm all
I'm
for
just
it.
not.
So I'm with you, Joe.
I laugh at him because I say, "Oh, you
Yeah, he
text so
laughs at
cute,"
me.
because he just take his little one finger and like this. I'm like, okay, I know to call you if I really need an answer. Because by the time you're done,
See, I will, even though I am a techie, I have the latest iPhones, I will admit it. I have the iPads, I have I'm a techie person. But I am not a texting unless I need you to do something quick, fast, I need an answer response.
Right.
I don't like a conversation on a text.
Me neither.
I want to hear your voice. I want you to hear my voice, because if I'm cursing you out, I want you to know the infliction. I want you to know the emotion. Same thing if I just want to hear your voice.
No, I don't think
So-
texting should be a whole
things get
conversation.
lost in text.
I don't like textersations.
Because things get lost in text.
Yes.
Yeah, it
The
can.
way I text something, the way you take it might
Right.
not even be the way
And
I
I've had
take
that. I've had that.
So,
You know.
We had an argument one time. This is before we got married. We had an argument, and we were arguing for 24 hours.
On a text?
Texting. And it was like, and it wasn't because that's how long it took me to respond back to him. Shoot, it took me about 3 hours.
Was it
I
just
No,
So
because
one of his
I see
messages-
his little bubble. You know how when somebody's on the iPhone, you can see when they text it. I done
Yes.
sent like 5 paragraphs. So now he got to read them so that he can respond.
And then you have to think about what they said and if
I
you're
had to
taking
think
it the
about
right
everything.
way.
And then I was, you know what I gave up and just started sending him songs. I just started sending him songs. You know.
I will say that I did tell someone I had to go back and read what you wrote several times because I didn't know how to take it. I didn't know because of your personality.
Yeah,
Should
I
I
want
take
to
it
punch
this
him in the
way?
face.
Should I take it that way? And then every time I read it, I kept getting angrier and angrier and angrier. So then by the time I responded, they were like, "You're being a diva." And then I thought, okay, well, I did take it the wrong way then. I don't know. Well, then I finally said, you know what? If we're having a problem,
heard
pick up the
that
phone
about-
and call.
Yeah.
People have complained about that with me.
Yes.
I'm a teacher. I say that you need to write a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And if you write this text a certain way, that's how I'm going to interpret it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm taking it literal. So the texting language and the texting communication oftentimes confuse me. And I have jumped
with
out
the
of the
short
box.
messages and stuff.
Right.
Either it's a short message or your tone sounds different.
It's because in your
or it
head, it's a
sounds
script
like
in
you're
your
coming
head.
at me.
Like,
When
Exactly.
you're really not meaning to say it that
Right,
way.
right.
So I you know, I've often said that, you know, I say what I mean and I mean what I say.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I'm texting. But a lot of people respond to me in a way that doesn't seem like that's not what they
Right.
mean.
Right.
Mhm.
Something is missing in how you're writing, and then they want to criticize me. You know, I'm not a student of yours, and you don't need to be reading it that way. I said, well, you know, I'm sorry.
That's how you wrote it.
When you write for a
Yes.
particular audience, then that's how you got
Exactly.
to address that audience. You know, you writing to me. So what did you think was going to happen when you was texting me?
But I get mad when people don't figure it out.
Yes.
So,
And
how
this
are
is
you?
why I
And
pick
I
up the
go,
phone and call.
No, because
Exactly.
it blows me because it'll be, hey, how are you? Fine. That'll be my response.
But
Well, what are
fine
you
could
doing
mean
today?
anything.
Nothing. But when my thing is, if I'm giving you one word answers, I don't want to be bothered. I'm not giving you the communication that you want, so you should figure it
Yeah,
out.
I was
See,
ready.
you could be that, but
But
for
a lot
him
of
it could be,
people-
I'm not feeling
No,
well
I was
right
ready to get
now.
on the bus and go and get him.
Exactly,
Because
see?
he was talking junk.
But see, you know
No,
him.
he didn't say
But
that to
if
me
you
like
said
that.
fine, I would be
Yeah.
like, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
fine.
And I'd be like, okay, he's pissed.
I cut people off
You know,
short
did I do
if I
something
don't want
wrong?
to be
You
bothered.
know.
Or like when we were talking about
Right.
this, and you just call me.
Yeah, I just called.
I'm old school, so having a conversation is fine for me.
Right.
It's these new school people or these old people that now found a way because they really didn't like talking on the phone before.
Mm-hmm.
Now they gonna use text, but half of them can't even text and keep up. Like me,
Right.
I promise you, you can send me a text. It can be 7 paragraphs in 5 seconds. I'm like, brrr, and respond
See,
to
that's
that.
not me.
Yeah, and you know what?
I can't. So
But
any
you know
man
what?
that wants to date me past 2 sentences in a
Yeah.
text, pick up the phone and call.
Yeah. If
You may not like my response because it won't be a response.
Okay. But you know what? For the most part, it's not easy for us older people.
Yeah.
Us older people, like my mama. Oh my God, my mother. She just learned how to send a text, and she still don't know how to send a text. She thought that her Facebook Messenger was her text message. That's the way she sent the text.
Oh,
She
the
was-
Facebook Messenger is a whole nother
Yes.
Oh gosh, that's a messy
Listen,
thing.
I have gotten to the point now where I don't even tell her about certain features on her because we got her iPhone. I don't
She
even
gonna
tell
know.
her about certain
Yeah.
features on her phone.
She don't know.
I don't care, Joseph. I don't even tell her about certain features on her phone just because I don't want to have to go through the tutorial of it all. We've had to like get in the car and go over to the house and be
course.
like, okay,
Of
Joseph,
course.
fix it.
It don't not be wrong.
And see, for me, it's the abbreviations. I'm sorry. I be like, Joseph, what do that mean? What do this mean? What do that mean? What do LOL mean? What do
They
that
get
mean?
smart with me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I be saying, are they getting smart with me? Because no. You know, and so that's why I gracefully, just like the music industry, gracefully bow out.
Yeah.
I bow out. I'm like you know how you said you know? I bow out to certain things because I'm like, you know what, Jamal? This is going to be a little bit more difficult
Right.
than you think it's going to be.
I can't do it.
I can't. And this one right here, I don't even know why you sitting over there looking like that, because he will get so frustrated, he'll take the whole phone and just throw it across the room.
Because they
Oh, I'm
making me
done.
mad.
I'm done.
Because I'm
But I thought you dealt
fighting.
with those anger issues already.
No, we fighting today, so now I'm mad and I'm like, ooh, I want to throw my phone, but if
Oh
I
my
throw it, I'm
God.
gonna smack
And
it.
he's like, I'm done.
Oh my
But-
goodness.
You know, I think it's different for everybody. I mean,
But
the
you can't
younger
have a-
generation just has a hold on
Yeah.
so much when it comes
But you just
to
can't have
technology and social media.
normal
I agree.
conversation through text.
Right.
And
No.
even if you talk
think it
to
should
the
be short
younger
and sweet.
generation
Short and
today,
sweet.
they don't even know how to have a conversation
Yeah.
because their conversations are through
It's a
text.
misunderstanding.
Well, they don't even know how to
It's-
write in script, so.
Right.
And on that note, thank you all. This was something else.
Oh, yes.
I enjoyed it so much.
Yes,
I'm
I
gonna
agree with
love working with all of you.
Yes.
I can't wait for Monique to come in back to the group. By the way, Monique, we miss you. I know you guys didn't see her. She is now a proud glamour.
All right.
Her daughter Monet and Monet's partner Reggie had a baby boy named Zion,
All right.
9 pounds.
Wow.
So
Okay.
you will see Monique on the next episode of Diverse Conversations.
All right, Monique, see you soon.
That's right. Thank you for being here with us. We hope we gave you something to talk about at home, and we will see you on the next Diverse Conversations, and we'll also see you on the next time we have Couch Conversations. Thank you.
Ovarian cancer is devastating and difficult to diagnose. It's often only caught in advanced stages, and 4 out of 5 women will see the deadly disease return.
I knew when ovarian cancer recurs,
It's often incurable.
It was terrifying, waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Until recently, following chemotherapy, women with recurrent ovarian cancer had to simply watch and wait for their disease to come back.
well, we say,
Not on my watch.
Not on my watch.
Not on my watch. Now, with maintenance therapies, women can extend their time in response and delay recurrence.
knowledge and awareness of your choices empowers you.
And gives you a greater sense of control.
Let's call for a change in ovarian cancer care.
The Not on My Watch movement empowers women facing recurrent ovarian cancer to take an informed and active role in managing their disease. Visit notonmywatch.com to learn more.
I was diagnosed in 2008.
2006.
2010.
I was 32.
I was 30.
I was only 28 years old when I found out I had breast cancer.
Last year, nearly 200,000 women in the United States were diagnosed with breast cancer.
That means a woman in the U.S. is told she has breast cancer every 2 minutes.
This video is 2 minutes long.
Every woman on the planet is at risk for breast cancer.
And that risk only increases if someone in your family has been diagnosed.
So get checked.
Check yourself.
Perform routine breast exams at least once a month. It's easy. You can do it in the shower.
If something doesn't feel right,
It's up to you to find out what's wrong.
Tell your doctor about any lumps or any unusual skin irritation.
Itching or pain.
get regular mammograms starting by at least age 40 and every year after that.
Breast cancer may not be preventable.
But knowing the facts
and knowing your body
will increase your chances of finding any cancer early. Early detection means it's easier to treat.
These are your sisters we're talking about.
Mothers, daughters,
friends, neighbors.
Please, stay aware.
Stay healthy.
Stay alive.
I survived breast cancer.
I survived breast cancer. Sobreviví cáncer en los senos.
I survived breast cancer.
I am still fighting breast cancer.
Talk to your doctor. Get regular mammograms.
And perform routine self-exams.
It's as easy as taking a shower.
Congratulations to our volleyball team on an outstanding season. They made it to the first round of the playoffs. They played the Stars still in the state tournament. They lost, but they played extremely well.